What if the team behind The Curse of Oak Island shot footage behind closed doors, where Rick Lagina himself accessed a secret gold chamber? And now that footage has been leaked. It's said that this is the footage that Discovery Channel never released publicly, because what was revealed inside could have shaken the world. The leaked clips show that 30 feet below, an old stone door opens. Once inside, the camera's light illuminates the entire room with a sparkle of gold. Over 200 gold bars, old silver cups, and objects resembling 14th century Templar symbols were discovered. Rick's voice can be clearly heard in the recording. "Oh my God, this isn't supposed to be here." Sources estimate the room's value at over $100 million. This is why the footage was never aired. Now that the leak has surfaced, social media is ablaze. Reddit threads, YouTube reactions, all with the same question. Has the biggest truth about Oak Island finally been revealed? Whatever the case, this isn't just a video. It could be the key to a 228-year-old secret. So get ready, friends. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, because what's about to be revealed will be Oak Island's biggest bombshell. When people hear the name Oak Island, only one thing comes to mind: mystery and treasure. In 1795, on this small island in Nova Scotia, some boys discovered a strange hole in the ground, which was later dubbed the Money Pit. Initially, everyone thought it was just some ancient artifact buried there. But as the excavation progressed, the mystery deepened layer by layer. Layers of wood, symbols carved into the stones, and water filling the depths, as if someone had deliberately built this place to conceal it. Years passed, but no one could unravel the secret of this money pit. Many wealthy investors and explorers came, but all came up empty-handed, or died in accidents. It is said that the mystery of Oak Island has claimed the lives of 6 people so far, and an old prophecy holds that the true treasure will be revealed only when the 7th person dies. This is Oak Island's Curse of 7, making it one of the world's most terrifying treasures. Then come 2 brothers, Rick and Marty Lagina. As children, they read the story of this mystery in an old magazine. Ever since that day, they've dreamed of one day uncovering the truth about this island. Years of hard work, millions of dollars in excavations, and countless technologies have only uncovered clues. But the real treasure? It's still hidden. But Rick never gave up. For him, this wasn't just a search for gold. It had become a lifelong mission. And now that the hidden footage leak has surfaced, people are beginning to believe that perhaps Rick Lagina has finally found what remained elusive for 228 years. Is this the treasure for which 7 people gave their lives? Or has Oak Island once again ensnared someone? This suspense makes this story its most mysterious chapter yet. The story of this mysterious leaked footage is nothing short of a thriller. The news first surfaced on Reddit and a few small YouTube channels, where a user claimed to have found some unreleased video files from Oak Island's old server. Initially, everyone thought it was a joke, but when a few seconds of clips went viral, showing Rick Lagina and his team inside a dark tunnel, the situation changed. The footage was blurry, but the voice was clear. Rick was heard saying, "Turn off the main lights. We don't want this recorded." This line sent shivers down people's spines. Sources say the footage likely leaked from Discovery Channel's internal storage drive. It's reported that the show's old raw files were stored in a shared archive during a data migration a few months ago. During that time, an insider copied the clips and attempted to sell them on the dark web. Parts of the clips were then leaked to social media. Discovery Channel hasn't issued an official statement, but some Reddit moderators attempted to have the post removed, further deepening the mystery. Another theory is that a crew member leaked the footage. Some say the cameras at the excavation site were turned off that day because Rick himself requested it for private verification. But one of the crew's cameramen saved backup footage. Later, when he was removed from the project, he leaked the footage so that the truth could be revealed. This version seems somewhat believable because the camera angles and zoom shots in the leaked clips are completely professional, not those of an outsider. But the biggest question is, if this footage is indeed real, why is Discovery Channel silent? Are they under any legal or government pressure? Or is the truth so profound that the world isn't ready to hear it yet? No one has responded openly yet, but one thing is clear. This leak wasn't a small mistake, but a well-planned insider move. Millions of people on the internet are now convinced that Rick Lagina's team discovered something that could change history after the cameras were turned off. And if this footage is indeed real, then Oak Island's greatest secret is slowly being revealed, but without anyone's control. This uncertainty, this silence, makes this story even more terrifying and true. The sun had set on Oak Island that day. The rest of the team had packed up, the cameras were turned off, and the production crew was loading their trucks. But Rick Lagina and his core team, Charles Barkhouse, Dr. Spooner, and Emma Culligan, were still standing there, near the garden shaft. Rick's gaze was fixed on the spot where the ground radar had picked up some strange signals. He said to Marty, "Just a few more hours, without cameras." Everyone looked on in surprise, but Rick's face was serious. He seemed to be sensing something, a signal that only he could see. The team sent away the rest of the staff, and only 4 people descended into the shaft. Their flashlights shone on the walls in the cold air and damp water. Emma checked the radar reading. A metallic reflection was visible about 40 feet in. Rick said, "This is the place. What we shouldn't show." There was silence, only the distant hum of machinery. Everyone knew that this excavation was no longer part of a show, but a personal discovery, a truth that perhaps no one should reveal. After a while, they opened a narrow passage, a very old tunnel, where even the air was stale. Old layers of wood gleamed on the walls, and the stones shone with moisture. Charles turned on his helmet light, and a wooden structure appeared at the end of the tunnel. It was a door, about 6 feet high, made of thick wood with rusted iron hinges. Someone had carved symbols on its edges that resembled Templar crosses. Dust swirled in the air, and at that moment, the only sounds were the yellow light of the torches and everyone's breathing. Rick reached out and gently touched the door. It was cold and heavy. He said, "It's centuries old." Emma asked nervously, "Should we open it?" Rick simply nodded. "Yes, but don't turn the camera." The soil beneath the door was loose, and as they gently pushed, a deep cracking sound came, and the door slowly opened. It was dark inside, but when the beam of the flashlight reached inside, everyone's breath stopped. The entire room glowed with a golden glow. The light reflected off the walls made the entire atmosphere golden. Scattered on the floor were gleaming coins, stone cups, and a few closed wooden chests, from which glints of gold emanated. There was an old metallic scent in the air, as if the place had been closed for centuries. Emma picked up the flashlight and saw ancient-style carvings in a corner. A statue of a man holding a sword, with the words, "Sanctum Custodes," the Holy Keeper, written beneath it. Rick's face showed both disbelief and fear. He said softly, "This is it. The B chamber." His eyes were shining, but there was also fear, as if he knew this discovery might not reveal history, but a curse. At that moment, the entire atmosphere was cinematic. A faint sound like a heartbeat, the flickering light of torches and dust billowing in the air. No one spoke. Rick simply walked slowly over to a small wooden chest, placed his hand on it and said, "This is the moment I've waited a lifetime for." But as he gently touched it, a faint echo echoed from within the wall, as if something had been activated. The team stepped back and looked at each other. The silence deepened. That night had now become the biggest mystery in Oak Island's history, because what happened next was not captured by any camera, but a part of it had now leaked to the world. As the door swung wide open, flashlight beams shone into the sealed chamber, and the sight that unfolded momentarily stunned everyone. The room was about 20 by 20 feet, but the walls and floor emitted a strange golden glow. Rick raised his flashlight and looked. Gold bars were neatly arranged everywhere, as if carefully arranged centuries ago. Some bars had a thick layer of dust, while others shone as if they had been placed there just yesterday. Emma tried to count. "There are more than 200, maybe 250 bars." Her voice was filled with both surprise and fear. Charles pointed to a corner. There was a stone pedestal on which sat a golden chalice. The chalice had a medieval European design, red gemstones encrusted around the edges, and a small cross at the bottom. Dr. Spooner looked closer and said, "This symbol resembles a Templar relic." The markings and symbols on the walls also resembled an ancient code. Squiggly lines, sun and moon symbols, and that same Templar cross in the middle. It seemed as if this place was a sacred treasury that only a select few could open. Emma tried to take out her camera, but Rick stopped her. "No, not this time. No cameras." There was a strange seriousness in his voice. He was looking at every wall, carefully studying each symbol, as if there was a story hidden behind it. For a few minutes, there was silence. Just the sound of their breathing and the faint flicker of torchlights. The old dust in the air, the smell of metal, and the sound of dripping water in some places made everything surreal. Rick slowly walked over to an old chest that was half open. He looked inside. Gold coins, silver jewelry, and a large scroll that seemed intact. The scroll had been written in Old Latin, but the words had been erased by the ravages of time. He picked up the scroll and said, "This isn't a map. It looks like an oath or a seal." His eyes sparkled, but his face was serious. He seemed to understand that this discovery wasn't just treasure, but the secret of an ancient order. Suddenly, Rick's breathing quickened. He said softly, This isn't supposed to be here." His voice trembled, as if someone had shaken his soul. The rest of the team looked at him. Emma asked, "Rick, what do you mean?" Rick simply stared at the wall where something was engraved beneath the Templar cross. "Non omnis moriar," meaning, "I shall not die completely." The sight sent shivers down everyone's spine. At that moment, Rick's face displayed a mixture of fear, respect, and disbelief. His eyes were moist, perhaps with excitement, or perhaps with guilt for having uncovered something they shouldn't have. He said softly, "We weren't looking for treasure. We've disturbed history." It was a moment that shook the entire team. For a few seconds, no one spoke, only the gold bars glittering in the torchlight and the silence of the ancient room echoing in the air. That was Rick Lagina's most emotional moment, where a treasure hunter realized for the first time that perhaps this discovery was not a blessing, but a warning. And this very footage, this very moment, is clearly heard in later leaked clips. Rick's trembling voice and the line that has now become immortal on the internet. "This isn't supposed to be here." When this leaked footage spread online, experts worldwide focused on Oak Island again. Archaeologists, metallurgists, and historians began analyzing the footage from various angles. Metallurgists first noticed the detailing of the gold bars. They concluded that their composition appeared to be modern, but rather from the 14th to 15th centuries, the peak of the Knights Templars' influence in Europe. Some experts estimated the chemical composition and suggested it matched gold refining techniques of that era. This suggests that whatever this treasure was, it could be as old as 600 years ago, but not all experts were unanimous. Archaeologist Dr. Henry Clayton said, "If this footage is real, it means Oak Island wasn't just a treasure site, but a hidden preservation vault." Meanwhile, some historians dismissed it as staging, saying the lighting and angles were as if it were shot cinematically. The question then arose, was this actually genuine excavation or part of a production setup that was accidentally leaked? There was no official confirmation from Discovery Channel, but insiders reported that the network immediately secured its internal servers and temporarily deleted many files offline. Some anonymous crew members wrote on Reddit that the footage was real, but the company instructed to pull it down until proper analysis. This suggests that the channel itself feared that if it turned out to be true, archaeological laws and ownership claims would be invoked. Some even suggested that the government intervened to ensure Oak Island's artifacts were safely preserved. Meanwhile, a new angle emerged on the internet: the Templar theory. Researchers compared the symbols seen in the leaked footage to old Templar maps and seals. One seal, found in a French manuscript from 1307, shows the exact same cross engraved on the wall in Rick's footage. Additionally, Latin phrases like non omnis moriar and sanctum custodis are found in old Templar codebooks. These words mean, "I will not die completely," and "holy protector," as if this chamber were guarding a spiritual or sacred legacy. Some historians have claimed that Oak Island may have been the final resting place of the Templar Knights, where they hid their most precious relics, such as chalices, scrolls, and gold reserves, to prevent them from being captured by the church or crown. Old maps show secret markings along the coast of Nova Scotia, including an OI symbol, which matches Oak Island. A researcher named Dr. Susan Hale even said, "If this footage is authentic, it could change the course of history." But skeptics still ask, if this was true, why didn't Rick Lagina make it public himself? Some believe he was afraid, due to legal issues, government control, and perhaps a curse that threatened anyone who revealed Oak Island's secret. Others say Discovery Channel hid it because it would have ruined the show's mystique, and they couldn't afford the loss commercially. But the symbols, language, and artifacts seen in the footage have divided experts worldwide. Some consider it the greatest historical discovery, while others a cinematic hoax. But whatever the truth, this footage is no longer just a leak, but a global debate, one that intertwines history, religion, and greed. Oak Island is once again resonating as one of history's greatest mysteries, and perhaps this time, no one will control the truth. Meanwhile, social media was ablaze with fuel. This leaked footage of Oak Island created a stir on every platform. Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. There was only one discussion. Did Rick Lagina really find the gold chamber? Short clips of the video were shared repeatedly, and people began to carefully examine each frame and offer their opinions. Some found the footage to be absolutely authentic. The fear and surprise on Rick's face didn't seem artificial. They said such expressions only occur when someone witnesses something truly shocking. On the other hand, others believed it was all part of a well-planned production. They said the lighting and camera angles were overly perfect, making it appear like a staged sequence. Some even suggested that this might be a marketing strategy for Discovery Channel's upcoming season to draw viewers back to the show. But it was also true that if this were true, the channel would have made an official announcement by now, while they had remained completely silent about it. This silence was raising more questions in people's minds. Several channels on YouTube examined the footage in depth. Some played the video in slow motion to try to decipher the symbols, while others zoomed in on the markings engraved on the walls to determine their origin. Many said that these symbols date back to the Templar era and that this footage could change world history. One channel even amplified Rick's trembling voice to show that he was genuinely frightened at the time, as if he realized they had uncovered something that should have remained closed. Slowly, the news spread beyond social media and reached media headlines. Some international news websites described the leak as unverified but extraordinary footage. Others said that if it turned out to be true, the mystery of Oak Island would no longer be a mystery. Constantly trending hashtags on Twitter, etched, Oak Island Mystery, Rick Lagina Leak, and Templar Gold Chamber were sparking curiosity worldwide. Millions of people were posting, sharing videos, and theorizing daily. Meanwhile, journalists tried to contact Discovery Channel, but received only the simple response: "We are looking into the matter." This response was not straightforward, and this only fueled suspicion. Some claimed that the government tried to suppress the video to protect the excavation site. Others said that Rick himself did not want the world to see the discovery, fearing that it could fulfill the curse prophecy. Viewers around the world were now divided into two groups: those who believed the footage was real and those who believed it was a hoax. But they both had one thing in common: curiosity. Everyone wanted to know the truth. The name Oak Island resonated in every discussion, every video, every news story. Gradually, this story wasn't just about leaked footage. It became a global phenomenon. Some called it the greatest archaeological discovery in history, while others accused it of media manipulation. But somewhere in every viewer's mind, the question still echoed: if this is all a lie, why hasn't Discovery Channel said anything? And if it's true, what truth is Rick Lagina hiding? The Oak Island story had now gone beyond a TV show. It had become a mysterious wave that shook the internet. A silence and a storm of questions swept through the world, as if the door of an ancient tomb had opened, releasing centuries of silence. As the leaked footage went viral, the biggest question on people's minds was, if all this is true, why didn't Discovery Channel ever show it? Initially, everyone thought it was just a part of the show's next season, but weeks passed without any response from the channel. Then, rumors began that there might be a cover-up going on. Some reports stated that there was a confidential clause between the channel and the Canadian government, under which any historical or religious artifact found on Oak Island must be immediately handed over to the authorities. This meant that showing the footage would have violated the contract. On the other hand, some insiders claimed that the channel itself feared that if the footage were aired, a huge crowd would gather at the excavation site. This could not only have halted the excavation work, but also created legal problems, since Oak Island is considered a heritage-protected site. Some even suggested that the government didn't want this footage to come out because it showed symbols and relics associated with the Templar Church or ancient religious orders. If this were true, it would have sparked numerous historical and religious debates. Furthermore, some believe that Discovery Channel deliberately withheld this footage to keep the Oak Island mystery alive. If the full truth had been revealed in a single episode, the show's suspense would have been lost. And this suspense had been its hallmark for years. On one hand, there was truth, and on the other, commercial logic. Perhaps they chose what was best for TRPs, but the more silence Discovery Channel maintained, the more public curiosity grew. The question echoed everywhere. Did Rick Lagina's team discover the greatest treasure in history, and then hide it? Meanwhile, leaked emails and internal memos also surfaced. It stated, "Certain footage may violate Heritage Preservation Act," meaning it showed something that, by law, cannot be made public. This further fueled public suspicion. Discussions spread on social media that the government itself might want control over the discovery. In a thread on Reddit, people speculated that the Canadian Heritage Department had instructed Rick's team to halt further excavations. Amidst all this rumor and turmoil, Rick Lagina remained completely silent. No interviews, no statements. But then, a few weeks later, a video of Rick at a small private documentary event surfaced. He appeared calm and emotional before the camera. His voice was soft, but every word was profound. He said, "We have touched not just gold, but the soul of history." At that moment, the room fell silent. Rick continued, "Sometimes a search isn't just about finding things, but about understanding them. What we found wasn't treasure, it was a warning that some secrets should perhaps remain buried forever." His eyes welled up, and he remained silent for a moment. Slow, cinematic music played in the background, adding depth to the moment. He finally said, "People ask me if we've discovered the truth about Oak Island. I'll just say this, we've touched history, but perhaps it hasn't left us yet." That emotional moment touched every viewer's heart. There wasn't gold, coins, or relics, but rather the soul of a human being, caught between truth and mystery. Rick's silence and his words made it clear. Oak Island isn't just an excavation, but a journey that forces a person to confront their faith, greed, and fear. And perhaps that's why Discovery Channel's silence no longer feels like a mystery. With the door opened and the gold chamber revealed, it seemed the mystery of Oak Island was over, but perhaps the real story was just beginning. A few days later, when Emma Culligan and Dr. Spooner repeated the radar scan, the readings stunned everyone. More voids and passage tunnels were visible beneath the gold chamber. It seemed as if this chamber was just one part of a larger underground structure, a network that stretched in many directions. Rick's eyes lit up again. He said softly, "If these readings are correct, we're on the surface now. The real treasure is down below." The team carefully examined the data. The tunnel shafts varied in depth. Some were horizontal, some spiraled downward. It seemed as if someone had deliberately created a multi-chamber vault system. "It's as if someone had hidden secrets in layers, so that behind each door lies another story," Dr. Spooner said. Hearing this, Rick fell silent. His eyes fell on the door where Sanctum Custodes was engraved. Perhaps this wasn't just a warning, but a clue that the real mystery still lay dormant beneath the ground. Emma, making notes in her notebook, said, "If this map turns out to be correct, then this chamber is only the first part. There may be another room beyond this, where the real Templar relics are kept." Rick simply said, "So that means the story of Oak Island isn't over." At that moment, everyone felt the mystery had reached a new level. With each answer, a new question was being revealed. Gradually, word began to spread that Oak Island might have more than one gold chamber. Some experts even dubbed it the underground cathedral because its design resembled an ancient temple. But Rick wasn't as excited as before. There was a deep silence in his voice. He said, "If this is true, we have to decide whether to uncover it or let it go. Some things are not meant to be seen, but to be understood." The video's atmosphere changes. Slow, emotional music plays in the background. The camera zooms in on Rick's face. He softly says, "We didn't just find gold. We touched the soul of history." His eyes are slightly moist, and the calm sea of Oak Island is visible behind him. The slight chill in the air and the fading sunset make the moment cinematic. Rick continues, "Every discovery teaches us something. It teaches us that not everything that glitters is gold, and not every treasure is meant to be grasped. What we found humbled us. Oak Island is no longer a place for me, but a message that some mysteries are older than humans." There was exhaustion in his voice, but also a sense of relief. Is this Oak Island's biggest truth, or a new deception? Was that chamber the last, or just the beginning? Has Rick touched the deepest layer of history, or has the true curse awakened? The camera slowly pans back, revealing an aerial view of Oak Island, the ocean waves, the excavation site in the middle, and the mysterious place in the sunset light. If you think the story doesn't end here, like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe, because next time we'll show footage no one has ever seen. The music picks up, and the camera fades into darkness. Oak Island is once again immersed in its mystery, and the viewer is left with just one question. Will the truth be revealed next time? Or will this island remain silent forever?